Welcome back to SoulFire Fridays. This is where we get to extend weekly conversation, or rather, this is where I get to extend weekly conversation with you by posting a video on Friday. My name is Webby. I founded SoulFire Inspiration to set your soul on fire through music and conversation. And all this is so that you're inspired to live intentionally and purposefully. Now, we're in the last part of the conversation on overcoming fear, and it's been an amazing ride so far. So many things to glean from. It's been a 4-week conversation, basically one topical conversation that got broken down into 4 parts, and it's been amazing to go through all the writings together. And the one question that I asked even during the written parts of the conversation for people to think about was, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I mentioned that fear is something that every single one of us is familiar with because we've experienced it in different ways through our journey in life. But I think at this point we can all agree that fear is not an intention for us. Or rather, let me put it different. Let me say it this way. Fear is not meant for you. I also read a scripture out of 2 Timothy 1:7 that, if I may paraphrase, basically says that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of love and power and self-control. So there is even biblical evidence that tells us, not even just suggests, but it tells us that a life of fear is not meant for us. The whole point of the conversation on overcoming fear was not to find a specific antidote or one fix for all to never feel fear in our lives, but rather it was really just to uncover or to discover the parameters within which, if we operate, we can progressively kick fear out of our lives. In this last segment, I'd like to talk a little bit about a fear that we all have, the fear of being vulnerable. On my own personal side, it's not something that I would choose. Why? Because I guess when I look back at so many different experiences of my life, I never wanted to expose weaknesses or to show myself as someone who's struggling with certain things because I was afraid of how that might look. And I've come to discover as I've gotten older and as I continue to unpack this through my own experience of life is that that's actually a deception. Never dealing with certain things and being vulnerable with a trusted person is one way that I set myself up to be continually a victim of fear. You see, one of the main characteristics of fear is that it torments in isolation. If you can be alone, then you can be alone in your thoughts, stewing in all of these presuppositions floating in and out of your head. And you're very unlikely to overcome that fear or to find something that will boost you in the effort to overcome your fear because you're not sharing that struggle with someone. So today, I'd just like to, for a moment, have us reflect a little bit on the value of being vulnerable. Now, when I say be vulnerable, what I really mean is, regardless of where you come from, you have an experience that has some history, Fear has been part of that history. Most of the times you'll probably find yourself dealing with your fears by yourself. And that's okay, But I'm coming to discover, and I think that you will discover this as well, that even when you have the power of initiative on your side, when you're able to get it started, because the fight does start with you, and you're able to keep on taking up this information that will help you to progressively overcome your fear. It may take a little bit long if you're constantly doing these things in your own strength and by yourself. I've come to discover the value of inviting a trusted person into my life or into my struggle, so to speak, not necessarily into my life, but in the context of the struggle, I mean inviting someone into the struggle. Already God is involved. There's even scripture which I've shared with you. But I think one of the ways that God communicates love to us is He sends us people who are concerned and people who care about our well-being and our success and everything else that's pertinent to our lives. And some of these people are those that we could form a trusted circle with. Not everybody has a trusted circle, but everybody has the opportunity and the potential of creating one. And it doesn't have to be a big one. It could even be just one person. It could be 2 people. It could be 3, if you're very good with building and sustaining great relationships in that way. Everybody has the potential to build relationships that serve one purpose or another and be a great contributor to a relationship as well. But one of the great values of being in a relationship with people who you can do the life journey or the life walk with is that you're able to share your struggles with. And that's what makes being vulnerable with such people very important. Now, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your very best friend. I'm sure you have many best friends. That's why I'm saying very best, because there's a tier 1, there's tier 2. Okay, I'm just kidding. But I think you get the point. I believe that a problem shared is a problem half solved. I see this practically every day. I'm married. My wife Phyllis has been my best friend for a good number of years now. And I've come to see the value in sharing some of the struggles of life with her. As a man, I must admit, though, that there are some things that I wouldn't talk about because, well, I'm a man. I'm not supposed to show weakness, or so it has been believed by so many of the men in this generation. But I'm coming to realize that that is in itself the weakness. I think it is important to be able, whether you're a man or a woman, to invite someone into your struggle that can help you put a fresh pair of eyes on the matter, a sounding board, someone who can listen to you gripe about whatever it is you're griping about, and someone who you can listen to as well, because it's a two-way street. You're not just taking, but you're also giving. That's what makes it a great relationship. That's what makes it a relationship at that level. It's important to have somebody that you can share, or let me put it this way, you can admit your fears to. Because in so doing, what you do is you expose them and they stop being, of course you're going to discover this progressively, but they stop being such an ensnaring trap. All right, let me read something that I wrote for you. And so hopefully this can perhaps put our thoughts together and streamline what I'm trying to say. No one person was designed to struggle through life alone. Even with the power, or rather with the right information and the power of initiative on your side, there's great value in having a support system, asking for or accepting help. And that is where a trusted friend, partner, or confidant comes in. The principle is that when you share your struggle with a trusted person, that's a problem half solved, because you invite someone else to look at this thing and perhaps give you a perspective or an opinion or some advice about an approach to this thing that you probably would never have come across on your own. So it's been an amazing journey talking about overcoming fear. The 4 things that we've spoken about over the course of this conversation were not necessarily the quick fix, but perhaps they were reflection points, if I may, that would help you to begin to put everything into the context of your life and begin to go this journey that would hopefully lead you to a place of freedom. When I say hopefully, I mean it depends on how consistently you travel on this, because some people do start out but never really get to the point where they finish. So my desire for you is that you will get to the point where you finish, and you finish strong. If you haven't signed up for SoulFire Conversations, I'd like to invite you to do so. There'll be a link in the caption section of this video, and you can just put your name and your email in, and you're going to get the reflection or the conversation of that week. And every single Monday when I release a new conversation, you get that as well. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. I look forward to next month's conversation. God bless you, and see you soon. Utawaka kama mshumaa.